All these rumors are fun to talk about, and Red Bull hasn't blown up yet.
Alex Albon's birthday, and his gift, Logan Sargent's car.
With the drain covers, why is this such a big issue?
That's what I'm saying. Alonso more and more is looking like Aaron Rodgers.
He's geriatric. We just kind of want him for merit mark.
You cannot win a constructors battle when your second driver is not performing.
Grab your popcorn, folks. Things are getting crazy.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Lights Out Latest. My name is Marina. I'm here with Steven, Jason, and Christina, who's filling in for Tristan once again. At this point, you're just a regular. It's fine.
Oh,
and
I
I'm
thought that was just
favorite.
Tristan with glasses. Whoops.
Wow.
What's up, Christina?
You couldn't
So
tell
many
what
things.
It looks so
maybe
similar, you know?
Repod.
Yeah.
No, and
Yeah.
it's okay. I'm everyone's favorite, and that's okay.
Yep. You're
Okay,
heading into the
moving
same thing, I'm
on.
sure.
Wow, is all I can say from this race weekend. It had pretty much everything.
Indeed.
And then some. But I want to start with Saturday. We will get to the headlines at the end, but I want to start with Saturday. Does Colapinto need to fear for his seat?
I don't think he needs to fear. I think his seat's already gone.
Oh, so like he won't be back.
I don't know.
It
I don't
depends
know.
on how much more time he has. Like, if they give him, I mean, the rumor is like Jack Doohan got 5 races. Colapinto's gonna get 5 or 6, like Jack did, and then
Well,
they're
that
gonna throw
already
Bottas
happened.
in the car just because. Yeah,
They're
So,
gonna put Bottas,
go
not Paul.
for it.
I'm not sure, but all the rumors were like when we first heard of the driver swap, it was because Colapinto proved himself as a decent driver, and he has a lot more money than Jack Doohan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the idea was they would do like the contractually like minimum like 5 or 6 races with Jack, and then they would dump him. They would call a Pinto in the car, and he would be the driver for the foreseeable future, unless he like is absolutely like objectively like Sergei Sirotkin bad.
Yeah.
And he
I mean, it's
hasn't
not
been
great.
that bad yet. He's been okay, but he hasn't been that good either. So I don't know. I mean, if it is the like 6-6 race plan, like we were told when Jack was kicked out by their PR team. I mean, Marina, you're the PR expert. Like, is that just a PR move?
Honestly, the PR move was the fact that they said 6, and then Flavio Briatore said no. He's got as many races like as needed, or whatever it was that he said. So
Yeah.
Right. So that makes me think it was the original rumor of like, yeah, Jack. They didn't want Jack at all, but they already signed him, so they had to race him for at least part of the season. And then now that's up, and Colapinto, with all his extra money, is somewhat equally talented, I would say, so far.
Yeah. I'd
But-
agree.
Also pays the team a lot more. It's unfortunate for Jack because he was just as talented as Franco, but yeah, just Franco could cash the checks and he couldn't.
Well, I guess, I mean, part of the thing is some of Franco's crashes haven't been his fault, you know? Some of the things that have happened to him haven't always been his fault. It's not something that necessarily plays well to him, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
yeah, and
know.
like today's DNS, for example, like that's not his fault. Like
Yeah.
there's been a lot of things that weren't his fault that have happened, which is I think has actually given him a little bit more races because every time like let's say he even did have those original 6, but then every time he gets like he has one of those races where he gets crashed out by somebody else or has an unfortunate mechanical thing,
Yeah.
I think he gets like an extra race.
Yeah.
And
Is
so-
that why maybe Jack Doohan got 6 instead of 5? Let me
Could've been.
look.
I
Who
don't know.
knows? I think
He
Franco's
got
also
7 in
slightly
total.
kind of just like under the radar. Like today's race, nobody even realized he wasn't racing for a little bit. So I
Yeah.
think he's not doing anything
That's
drastic that
what
everyone's like, oh my gosh, what is Franco doing? He's kind of just like hiding under the radar of what is he doing,
Yeah.
and oh my god, you know.
Mhm.
So
It's
that
like if
also
Lance
probably helps
Stroll
him.
was chill.
Well, it's like I don't know about on Sky Sports, but on F1 TV, they like quite literally didn't even mention he wasn't on the
yeah. When I was
Yeah,
watching,
they didn't mention it till
yeah.
the post race.
till the post race where they were like, yeah, and Franco didn't start, and I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense because I was wondering where you
Yeah.
went.
Yeah.
Even the commentators were like, I didn't notice until a couple
Yeah.
laps in.
I think
During
they
the
were
post
like,
race, they were like, I didn't notice Franco wasn't there for a little bit.
they had the graphic that was like Franco was out. They're like, oh, and Colapinto is out. We have no idea why.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the
Okay.
official reason on that? Because I missed that too.
No idea.
It was a DNS. He did the formation lap, and then he pulled into the pits, but I don't
Oh.
when I listened to his interviews, he didn't give a reason. He just said it was unfortunate we weren't able to start, which leads me to think it was a mechanical issue.
Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah,
Well,
because
I
it's
don't know.
not. Because usually they would say that, be like, yeah, we had an issue with the car, couldn't start. I mean, maybe he just didn't want to give that much detail, but this is real conspiracy. I'm really putting on my thinking cap here. What if it was a contractually obligated thing where, like, all right, you're out of the car, we're just gonna have you do the formation lap. We don't want you to race.
Maybe.
I
mean,
highly
good.
doubt it, because if you already have a car and a driver there, you're gonna race them to try and get points at least. But
Unless you just don't trust
I
him.
don't know. Maybe one of his sponsors didn't pay, and they said, "We are not racing you if your sponsor doesn't pay."
Yeah, and they were like, Franco, it's
that's
raining.
happened before.
You're in the back of the grid and it's raining. No.
Yeah, we're not taking the
We're
risk.
going
Your
off of your
sponsor
theory.
didn't pay us any, because race teams have done that before. They're
Yeah,
like,
it's
we'll
happened.
either rip your decals off the car, or we straight up won't run your driver. And Franco's effectively, he's a pay driver, so they won't run the driver. Same thing happened with Alex Rossi with his F1 debut, right? In free practice, is the driver that was in the car, I think Will Stevens, maybe, his sponsor didn't pay, and the team called his bluff, and it's like, all right, Rossi, go in the car for the practice session. We're going to race you this weekend. And then Stevens' sponsors paid and are like, oh, shoot. They're actually going to take our driver out of the race. I don't know. That's some real conspiracy stuff. I think it was just an issue, like Marina said.
I mean, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, but if they get rid of Franco, are they putting Paul or Valtteri in the car?
Valtteri.
Well, that's not for you, Christina.
That's up to these 3 weeks that we have before Spa. 2-3 weeks we have before Spa for them to figure something out, because I'm like 95% sure Valtteri hasn't actually signed a contract.
Yeah,
right?
I was like,
No.
I thought that they were in contracts for
It-
next year, not this
Valtteri.
year.
It could
Yeah.
be Valtteri. I think if Valtteri did agree to sign for this year, it would be strictly for this year. And then next
Yeah.
year is a whole other story. Maybe maybe he goes Cadillac, maybe he stays. Who knows? I think that's like these 3 weeks are going to be make it or break it. Like, it's off the track, but it'll make it break it for Franco, because if they can sign with Valtteri, I think they'll switch him out. But if they can't get Valtteri, I don't think they'll switch him for Paul Aaron, because honestly,
I hope not. Save
I don't
Paul.
think it'll be that much better. I love Paul.
Where
but
is he in right now? Is he in his first year of F2, Paul?
No, he's
No.
not an F2. He can't afford it. So he's just a reserve
Oh.
driver.
He's
Wow.
an was he second or third last year?
Does he even have the super license points?
Yes,
He was an F2 last year.
Okay. Oh, so that's why. So, all right. So, serviceable. But, I mean, look at the two options between Jack and Franco. Like, I don't see them going to third, even less experienced drivers. Both Jack and Franco had runs in an F1 car in an actual race weekend before this year.
Yeah.
So, putting them back in the car is kind of like, kind of lower risk. But you put in Paul Aaron, who's been a year out of F2 and never even did a full F1 weekend. That's a risk they shouldn't
But
be
he's
taking.
getting his practice in, because he does a lot of like a bunch of most of their testing
yeah.
for Alpine off the track, and then he's now with Stake doing Nico's rookie testing. But I don't want him in that Alpine car, because I don't want something bad to happen to Paul's career.
Yeah,
I mean, the
that's
thing is, too,
yeah.
I mean, we have to think about, too, if Alpine's just thinking about 26 at this point,
yeah. Well, also
Many teams are.
Yeah.
This is kind of the crossover where, like, they're looking how close they are this year. I bet every team is looking at the constructors and being like, McLaren's got it. This is it. We're barely going to fight.
Because
Like, if I'm
the further
Ferrari,
down you are, the
I'm
more
on
wind tunnel
26
time.
already. Yeah. I'm on
Yeah,
2026 already.
the one thing I always
The
think
tank
about
is in.
that
The
no one
tank
talks
is in.
about is the fact that Alpine it's basically the same situation as Red Bull. They have
Yeah.
Pierre, who's constantly performing, and they have another driver, but yet no one is like, oh, it's a different car. No, it's just a less experienced driver. Like, so
Yep.
I think they could have something really good with Valtteri and Pierre, but we'll see.
Yeah.
The other thing with the DNS is it may just have been a pure issue with the car after yesterday's spin, because
And they only noticed on the formation lap.
yeah,
Right? Like, this happened to
Yeah,
Charles when he
'cause
set
it was
pole in
wet all of a
Monaco
sudden.
21.
yeah.
The drive shaft issue, they did the formation lap. It's like, no, literally, there's nothing. It won't work. And they
So
had to
maybe this
retire.
have been that, and they just didn't notice.
Yep.
Very well could have been.
The other thing in Q1, man, how stupid can Ferrari be? They were so close to getting caught out.
I don't think you want the real answer to that question,
It's a new
Marina.
question every
Lewis
week,
is
isn't
like,
it?
can we go for another lap? Like a second lap? And Ferrari's like, you don't have enough fuel. And he's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And they were very clear. You don't have fuel. We didn't fuel you for a second lap. I was so confused.
It's almost like Ferrari is trying to screw themselves.
One of the
It's-
social medias,
it's
like either I don't remember what admin, but they were like, guys, Q2 is starting. Make sure you put enough fuel in your car
Yeah.
on Threads or something. And I was like,
That's hilarious.
I just don't
but
get
the
it, man.
how stupid is Ferrari question? I don't think we want to hear the answer personally.
Yeah, don't
but-
ask the question you don't want the answer to.
Also in quali,
Mm.
Max is collecting rookies like Infinity Stones because last week
He
it was
is.
Gabby giving him a toe. This week it was Kimmy. My grandma said, "There's no way he's on a rival team. There's no way he admitted to giving Max a toe." False. He did.
Well, I mean,
It
there's
was
a couple of rookies that have
It's-
admitted to credit card fraud, so
Yeah.
I think there are bigger issues at hand.
Kimmy admitted to credit card fraud.
Yeah.
So,
What did he do?
Okay, so Kimmy and
Him-
Ollie committed credit card fraud and identity theft.
Why?
they're rookies.
How do you not know this? Keep up.
I haven't heard of this.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about it before
we
Yeah.
have talked
At
about
least-
it on the podcast before.
on the pod with me.
Yep.
I think I brought it up.
Always brings the interesting topics.
Oh, I just
Yeah,
straight up don't
so-
remember.
When they were in F2, Gabby's now personal trainer was Ollie's personal trainer, and him and Kimmy just like one day stole his credit card and started buying things and shipping him to the trainer's house because they had his address. And then
Well, at
one
least
other
they all
time,
arrived to him. I wonder
yeah,
what you
and then
even
one
bought.
other time they stole his like paddock pass and everything because he just like left it lying around. And then on the fan stage this weekend, the Fast and the Curious podcast, I want to say it was interviewing Ollie. They were like, "You already admitted on this podcast to credit card fraud, and we're sorry, but you're not racing this weekend. We do have the police here to what's the word?
Arrest you?
To arrest and
Detain.
like investigate and like detain you and like interview you." And he was like, "Okay, but I've got the credit card numbers," and just started spewing out random numbers.
Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious.
He is a menace, and I do love it.
The only rookie to finish this race.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which Marina forgot about.
And he scored
Hard.
points too from 18th, right?
No, he
is
got
that what
11th.
Oh, right,
He-
because who was fighting for 10th again?
George.
Was it Alonso? Oh yeah, it
Alonso.
was George Russell. Oh boy. Yeah, he
Tier
defended
1
off Ollie
George
Behrman.
Russell, baby.
Won George Russell's horrible decisions in the pits this weekend. But
Yeah.
we'll get to
That
that.
was
First,
that wasn't.
I have to highlight the love of my life.
Oh,
In
thanks for
my
highlighting Lando Norris. Thank you.
Max
Arthur Leclerc, Paul Aaron.
Verstappen.
Matteo
Um,
Bonat.
I love
No. Who said that?
Right,
Kick them out of this.
right.
I love the fact that every time, without fail, every time Max goes, "This car is terrible. I can't drive it. It isn't quick. This is slow." He goes and sets pole every time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like when Lewis would say, Bono, my tires are gone, and it would be like, pass up, pass up, pass up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It turns into setup.
Yeah, it's just great. But the pole was very short lived. God, did that one hurt? And it wasn't even
No.
his fault. And props to the McLarens, good for them. But like, what was that setup? I was sitting there and I was like, okay, great, we got pole. I'm very happy for you. However, you have a low downforce rear wing for rain.
Yeah.
Make
They
it
were
make
not.
sense.
They didn't want the rain. That's for sure.
They didn't know it was coming.
Yeah.
Please, no rain.
It was
Like,
working for a little
They
bit.
didn't do the rain dance properly.
Mm. Yes.
It was holding on until it actually started raining.
Yeah.
Like, plain
Wasn't
and
the
simple.
smartest move on their end.
No.
Yeah, no, it's not. It was definitely not.
Yeah.
What else happened in this race?
So
Let's start
many
from the very
things.
beginning. Like I said, George Russell, Charles was one of them. Who else? Isaac,
Oh, quick shout out to Lewis Hamilton. He fumbled the pole position. He was purple 1 and green 2, and then totally messed up in like the final chicane.
Yeah,
was
that
it
sucks.
him? Was it him though, or was it the dirt in the car?
No,
I think it was him. He lost it in the final corner.
100%. If he could set purple green, there's no way there could be dirty air through the final sector.
When
Him and
I
Oscar did identical things.
When I say that Lewis or Lando made a mistake, I get attacked because he's just a baby. So I wasn't allowed to say that. I had to bring. You could say it, and I can agree, but I'm not allowed to say it.
Hey.
Oh yeah, for sure. But also Verstappen somehow dragged that car. Like,
he did.
Literally destroying all the arguments of like, oh, he's just in the best car. Well, he hasn't been for the past season and a half.
He has the same number of poles as Lando, does he not? Or Oscar, one of them.
Well, he was never a good qualifier.
Who are we talking about?
Like,
I zoned out.
Verstappen.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought. But just double checking.
Even in like 17, 18, 19, he was never a qualifier, Verstappen.
No.
He was always terrible. He would start like 5th or 6th. Like, that was his classic. Like, he'd go from 5th to a win. Even in his first win with Red Bull, he went from like 6th, I think.
He started 4th or 5th, yeah.
Yeah. Like, he outqualified Danny Rick, which is insane. And then of course, the Mercedes take each other out. But he still had to get through Kimi Raikkonen and Daniel Ricciardo. And like, he showed up. He's never been a qualifier. So for him to put on pole this weekend with that car, unreal.
Yeah.
It's always like what on earth is going on? Like, I genuinely they switched on F1 TV. They showed DC calling it, and DC's just like he stands up and he's like, "What the hell?"
Man was speechless.
Man was 100% speechless, and he knows Max. I mean, he's like within the Red Bull family or whatever. So like, even the people that are like, even Christian was like, I had no idea. Like, there was no shot in our world. Like, Red Bull did not think they were going to be on pole. Max didn't think he was going to be on pole. Max said after the Q1 and Q2, he was a 10th or 2 off, and he was like, "There's no way."
Did you see the video? I want to say it was from one of the practice sessions where he got oversteer and understeer in like the same corner.
Yes.
He was just sliding across the track.
After I saw that, I'm like, man, this ain't
he like drifted at the start of the race too. There's like a couple corners. He was just not hanging onto the car. It was so bad.
No,
the downpour really didn't help. Imagine if it was a dry race. I really think Max might have had a chance. If it was
that's so ironic because of how good
imagine if they were all ducks. Like Kimmy, he was like, "It's a good day to be a duck."
I did see that.
I saw that on Mercedes Instagram. No, I think it would have been Max win if it was dry.
That's so ironic since we've always talked about how good Max is in the wet.
I know, which I was so surprised. He even spun out in the wet. He spun out.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Tier 1,
I hope it doesn't
George
rain.
Russell, he spun out in the wet, Marina.
Yeah. No, when it started raining again, but
confirmed.
it came from George, I was like, is it raining?
George did a 720 and barely saved it. So, like...
I think that's more impressive.
I mean, sorry. Sure.
George did more spins and still saved it. Max did a weird half spin and lost more time than George. George had a whole roller coaster and still got the drive.
For slicks twice at the wrong time.
Oh, and that's a Toto's
he did do that.
Yeah, that goes right on Toto. Toto was wearing the British thinking cap this weekend.
Toto made me laugh. I was like, Toto, he was wearing that weird hat and the headphones. I was like, Toto, what is this outfit?
He was looking very British.
The team came on the radio to George and said, "We want to be brave. We don't want to be suicidal."
Suicidal. Yeah. George said, "No, make the
proceeded."
And then George was like, "Yes, suicidal. Yeah, this slicks. Yes, okay, that's fair enough. Bad call from George."
Yeah,
because they were even like, the team didn't want this. This is a suicidal move, but let's see what George does.
No, it was
didn't go well.
I think the race, like everything, there were so many moments where it was like, am I really watching this? When the first safety car came out, I was like, has it really only been like 12 laps?
Yeah. That was the slowest about 20-25 laps of all time.
Oh yeah, the last 25 like were so quick. But the first 25 were so slow.
I was like halfway through, I was like, can I get like a 30-minute red flag just to like process everything that's happened?
flag like
Need a
paused.
halftime.
I need a halftime. Yeah, I was like, it's raining. Call a red flag. Let's just let everyone process what's just happened, and then we can resume.
In those first laps, it was rookie palooza. Liam Lawson was spun off by Esteban Ocon on lap 1. Gabriel Bortolezo lost the car in turn 1 on slicks because, like I said, wrong call.
Yeah.
Everybody knew that was not a good idea. Because they pitted, they didn't get the last couple corners, right? So as soon as I saw Max's onboard, him going through those corners, I was like, "Ain't no way."
Yeah, they were talking to Alex after the race, and he was like, "Yeah, I thought about slicks for a second, and I told them no, and then I went through those last corners, and I was like, yeah, no, slicks are not the right call.
We're not doing slicks." Then so Gabby spun off. Then Isaac rear-ended Kimi Antonelli.
That
And then
was an interesting one.
Children are fighting.
In his defense, you really couldn't see him until he was hit
Yeah, no, you
Yeah.
couldn't.
on board, and it's worse for them than it is for the camera. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel
Literally
bad for
impossible.
Kimmy, man.
You
was
couldn't even
impossible.
see like the
Yeah.
marker boards. Like he had no reference at all of when to start
Yeah.
braking for the corner.
Mind
So
you-
it was not good.
this was
Mm-mm.
the same lap as the first restart for the safety car. And I want to ask you guys about this because my parents were very upset when I disagreed with them. But essentially their point was there was absolutely no need for the first safety car. It was like they need to like suck it up. They're not babies. They can drive in the rain. My point was, look what happened as soon as we went green again.
Yeah.
I agree. It should have been longer.
Kimmy's literally just a child.
I think no, I know, but what I'm saying is like
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
either there should have been a red flag, or the yellow flag should have been longer. Not to not have it at all. My parents were like, "I don't want this
Yeah.
yellow flag. Get it
Yeah.
away." I said, "I don't want to see people die," but I don't
Yeah.
know what you
Was it the second one or the first one that the drivers were that
first
Oscar was
one
like,
was-
we should have kept it longer. Why aren't we keeping this,
Yeah,
this
George
safety
even
car
called for
longer?
a red flag during
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
We
agree.
all-
It isn't a skill
Oh,
issue. It's a visibility problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
funny,
a British
actually.
issue, but via the weather. It's a British
Yeah.
weather issue,
It
not a
literally
driver
blinds
issue.
you, and you can't do
Yeah.
anything about it.
I
Yeah.
was literally talking to my dad about it, and he actually said like the exact opposite. He's like, "Why are they racing in this? Like they can't see anything."
Yeah, no, I was
I'm
like,
just like,
yeah,
"'Cause
what
I
is
can't."
happening here?
He's like, "But why? It's
Same-
not safe." I was
Especially
like,
on the
"Huh?"
restart when the sun came out, like it totally brightened all the mist, like just
Yeah.
blinds you.
Oh
Even
yeah.
the cameras is bad. Imagine being in it. It's like driving through a fog.
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
Pierre said he drove half the race without saying anything, like
Yeah.
at all. And
Yeah.
so like my point to my parents and my parents' argument is like, "Oh, well, they used to do it." I was like, "Yeah, and people used to die." But more importantly, there was a
Yeah.
lot less spray 20 years ago than there is now because of the levels of downforces we have, the designs of the car. So
Yeah.
it's the problem is not their ability to drive in the rain, because if they were all 5 seconds apart, we wouldn't have this issue.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're all bunched up right next to each other and they're fighting, and it was going to cause many more accidents than just the one accident we had right when the
Yeah.
yellow flag the safety car went in.
Like I
I-
couldn't believe that double overtake Lewis made on Gasly and George
George.
because
Mm.
it was when it was still
Cool.
blindingly like
Yeah.
misting. Like I was genuinely afraid that he was gonna crash into them because he couldn't see them. And there's not one, but there's two cars. He
Yeah.
got them both in one go.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, he just
Great
knows
job,
Silverstone that
Lewis.
well.
I mean, great job, Lewis.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
The thing I'll say is, dude, I
Yeah.
don't know if y'all knew this. I didn't know that F1 actually tested like water guards.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
I
did.
know that
This
was
was
a thing.
2022. Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't
Fenders.
work. They were bad.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the spray is from the aerodynamics. It's not. I mean, the tires kick up some too.
Yeah.
But
Well, I assume it's from like the
Mhm.
diffuser for the most part, right?
yeah, because it sucks all the. It sucks the car to the ground, but also sucks all the water off the track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not good.
See, the
Yeah.
F1 cars just have to be faster, so then the water just goes straight over them, and it wouldn't be a problem.
That's
Yeah.
how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Aerodynamics, man.
Speaking of safety cars, like I said, Isaac hits Kimmy right on the safety car restart lap, so we went back to a safety car.
Indeed.
And this one had its moments. Particularly at the restart.
Indeed.
What did we make of Oscar, the move and the penalty?
You know, at first, when I was listening to it and watching it, I was like, I thought this was pretty harsh, but given the circumstances and what was happening around the race in terms of like the weather and stuff like that, I do think the penalty was justified. I don't know that 10 seconds was necessarily needed, but I do think that he should have been penalized for it. And also, I mean, you can make the argument that Max flopped, but at the same time, it's kind of like...
Apparently he did a little, but like, if you
Max
look through replay, there's almost no time for Max to react to that.
Max
I think
was
at the
on
end of the day, it was
straight.
justified.
He was on the straight. He wasn't accelerating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and behind the safety car, you're just focused on the steering wheel and the temps and warming your tires, charging the battery. You're not watching the car in front of you generally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I
I'm
think
not
it
a
all
racing driver, but I'm trying to think of all the reasons why Max couldn't have seen him any sooner.
Yeah.
I get that they are
I mean, why
racing,
just
but
don't
it did
lock
all
up
kind of
either?
happen just a lot really fast because Oscar did it started slowing down the exact same time the safety car lights came off.
Yeah,
So
that's
Max
what he
also
said in the
probably
cool
saw
down
that
room.
and was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, okay, so we're going faster now." And then it was like, "Oh no,
Yeah.
we're not, because now we're building up." But like,
I mean,
you know,
I'll tell you what. I mean, if it was a dry race, I don't think he's penalized.
No, and then I think that the FIA
Yeah.
said
I think he would still be penalized.
I don't think he would have
No,
because
I
they
don't
said
think
Why
so.
not?
in Austria. If
No,
it was,
no.
I think 10 was extreme.
I
I was
agree.
like, "Oh, they're gonna penalize him. Oh, it's gonna be 5 seconds," and then it was
Because-
10, and I was like, "Oh,
I'm a Max fan.
we know."
My mom she was on WhatsApp real quick to text, "Oh my god, he's gonna get a penalty, right? Do you hate Oscar now?" No, I don't hate Oscar. Like, what did he didn't do? I genuinely, yes, he braked very hard on the straight. I think it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
However, I don't know, like I said, I don't think it was intentional.
No.
Like in that he didn't want to crash with Max. Like, it's not like he was trying to take him out.
No.
Or
So
have
that
Max
takes
It
him out.
wasn't
That's
malicious,
pointless.
but what he
Yeah.
did wasn't right. You can't do that once the safety car, like he knew the safety car was coming in, so he was already
Mhm.
kind of on the limit of like, when can I warm up my brakes? And that's like going into the final corner before the safety car goes in. So he knew the safety car lights were going to turn off soon.
Yeah.
Now, did he think it would go off in that moment? No, but he became the safety car in that moment once the lights went off, and the first thing he did was slam on the brakes. You can't do that. You need to keep the pace. You can't hold that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
think-
I think the penalty was justified. I just don't know if it wasn't raining, I don't know that it would have been 10.
I don't think so
Yeah,
either.
I think it's
I
just
don't
where it
think it-
happened on the track too, because they were just like, this location terrible for that. And I think, don't fact check me on this ever, or actually, wait, no, don't quote me on this. I think I saw
There
somewhere
you
that it was
go.
like when Oscar went down to like 53 miles per hour when he did that, and before he was going way faster. So they're like, that was just like extremely unsafe because
Yeah.
he went slow. So they were like, no
Yeah.
penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I think it's just also how slow.
also
yeah.
it
There's
didn't
also
matter for.
Been
Go ahead.
there was also
Yeah, I
an
was
ac-
about to bring that up.
Yeah, I think that as much as the FIA will claim they don't look at, the aftermath of the event or whatever happened, I think when you see
Mhm.
a spin like that and you think, well, maybe this not necessarily causation, but a correlation between the two
Yeah.
events right after,
Yeah.
I think it definitely could have impacted a stronger penalty. But I think the main thing was the weather.
Well,
really
you know what? I think
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because actually I was listening in the commentators. Actually, I thought brought up a good point, in that maybe the fact of what Oscar did got in Max's head, and that's what caused him to spin. So he's just he was advocating for the penalty and stuff like that, and he got in his own head and he was like, "Oh shoot, I'm around now."
Yeah,
So
I think
that's
honestly,
part of it too.
It could be part of it, but I just genuinely think with more rain coming down, it was starting to dry, but it was that was that last sector that had that same issue for them from lap 1, that it was still very wet.
Yeah.
And that low downforce configuration, you're right behind the car. He had just had to brake kind of suddenly for Oscar and go offline. I think it was more of just it just happened.
Yeah.
That it was something that was Max isn't paying attention, this happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
Max Verstappen. I couldn't tell you.
She wishes.
Only Max
Yeah.
knows.
Only Max knows. Speaking of Max, though, I cannot understand the calls that other people made. Every time Max was going around the corner, he'd be like, okay, so thoughts on weather? And Max was like, No way. And then, as soon as the same time I'm hearing the radio message from Max on my phone, I see the message that goes, Russell's going to pit. I was like, he's doing the what?
Yeah.
It was him. There were other people that pitted well. It's not just Russell, but there were other people that pitted as well. They pitted so early.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I mean, clearly it didn't work for them.
No.
But the one that did work was Stroll, because he pitted before the rain, came back, went on inters, and then went back. Genuinely,
He only had like 5 laps on the softs, but apparently that was enough to make up all the pit time.
Yeah.
Be back to where he was as everybody else was slowing down still. And then again, like you said, like got back on the inners at the right time and like gained all this time. Because when I first saw it, I was like, holy crap, he's gonna have like less than 10 laps on the softs. Is this really gonna make up enough time? But it did. It was exact right timing.
Yeah. And they had a good pit window too. It was funny though, because he was on, I think he was still on softs at this point. And I look up and he's like third. And I was like, what? I was so like,
Yeah, you're like, what is Lance doing here?
Yeah, he crept up there. Him and Nico crept up there. And nobody saw it. Like, I just genuinely didn't see them making the moves forward. I just saw them all of a sudden third and fourth. And I was like, wait, what?
You know, I didn't see the moves happening, but like I'd look at the leaderboard and they'd just be like slowly creeping their way up there. And I was like, hello? But go Nico. Go guys. I was like,
Yeah,
let's put
man.
them on the podium. Why not?
Yeah, today's top 10 was the ultimate example of like, rain truly is the greatest equalizer. Because top drivers, but also just drivers with cars that just cannot perform, did so well.
Was it 9 different teams in the top 10 or 8? No, 9, right? Because
7.
one driver from 7.
7. There's the
Who
two
both got in the
McLarens.
points besides McLaren?
The Astons.
Okay. Oh, right, because Fernando crept in there.
Yeah. Well, poor Lance, though, because Lance drove, I really do think, and I say poor Lance, and I would never say that usually, but I do think he drove a great race, and then he just dropped like a rock after the safety car, or after the pits, after they pitted. Max got him. I really didn't think Max was going to get to him, to be honest, when the time started, because they were coming down like maybe 3/10 a lap or 4/10 a lap, and I was like, that's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
We have like 6 laps left. Then all of a sudden, it was like a whole second and a half, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But it's funny because once Max got past him, you saw the updated timings. It was Stroll going slower, not so much Max going that much faster. And Max was dragging Pierre Gasly along, which didn't bode well for Stroll. So it just kind of was unfortunate timing. And yeah, I don't know. Do we talk about this on? I think we talked about this before we started filming. Stroll coming on the radio after and being
yes.
this car is a shitbox. I've genuinely never driven a worse car.
We didn't talk about this
Can't
at
believe you
all,
said that.
actually.
I was like, as you get one of the best results, if not the best result of the season,
That's
and
just
your
Lance
team
trying to be
scores double
chill.
points, with Fernando also in P9, and then he's like, no guys, this car is so bad.
Where's
like,
he in
yeah.
the championship? He's
somewhere.
He's
Somewhere.
behind Hadjar and ahead of Gasly. More importantly,
kinda
ahead of his
crazy.
teammate. But
So what number is that?
So that's like, oh man,
I don't got these
11.
one,
numbers.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 12 actually.
Right? Oh, damn.
12?
I was close. I totally guessed. Wasn't looking.
And other than the McLarens, Ferraris, and Mercedes, we have Albon's in front of him, Hulkenberg's in front of him, Ocon is in front of him, and Hadjar's in front of him. I mean, it's not like the Aston Martin has been very good this year, but like, you know, he's more and more sounding like Julian Palmer, which isn't a good thing, because next you'll hear of him is in the comms booth.
Yeah.
You know, Lance Stroll, for some reason, lately, I never hated the guy, because I don't like
I
to
used
hate
to be
people,
a defender,
but like,
because
I was not
everyone would
really,
just
like,
rag on him.
He a defender.
no,
Are you
I
not-
never hated the guy, but I never loved the guy, but I was like, if I had to rank him, he'd be closer to like hating than like loving him. But like lately, for some reason, my TikTok's been like a bunch of people talking about Lance Stroll, and I'm like, guys, he's really not that bad.
He isn't, but in the
So
car,
he's moved up a
he
little
kinda,
bit.
He kind of isn't. Oh, you're feeding into the propaganda. Great.
No,
What propaganda?
Just
He
being
probably hired a
brainwashed.
PR firm. His dad is like, man, I can't have people think about this about my son. And
I'm
they
not
hired a
saying-
firm that hired tons of TikTokers to push out. You see, I'm playing on my thinking cap again here.
here's the.
I'm not talking about his driving. I just mean as a person.
He's
He's really not that bad.
He's very
Yeah,
quiet.
no.
He posts on socials a lot, which I think kind of
He's
like.
been dealing with a hand injury from
Yeah,
breaking his
apparently,
wrist.
no. I learned he used to be an extrovert and has turned introvert, like from like through Formula One and stuff. Because like in like
That would
F3 and
surprise
stuff,
me, unfortunately.
he was an extrovert. Apparently, he just like would yap and yap.
And he was the
I was like,
champion there,
whoa.
so maybe it was
Yeah.
easier. Because now he talks to everybody, and everybody's like, huh, Lance Stroll, could you introduce me to Carlos Sainz? It's
That's my mom's favorite line from the F1 movie.
It's
She-
it's, the,
I mean,
it's one of the most realistic
last
ones.
She was mad that I didn't say that it was her favorite line after when she was watching the pod. Anyway,
It's one of the most realistic lines in the movie.
but I think just it is one of the most realistic lines. It's crazy, but I think with Stroll, the issue is just he's not a huge fan of the media. He likes his space, his private life. He doesn't post much on socials, which means he kind of becomes irrelevant.
He did get a TikTok.
he deleted his Instagram. I remember when
Yeah,
that
he's got
happened.
a TikTok.
But
I think
but
it's back now.
when you become
It
socially irrelevant and then on track, you have some unfortunate incidents and crashes. And then when you don't crash, you're still rarely in the top 10. It becomes kind of hard to like.
Yeah.
It's not that we hate him. It's just we don't talk about him because we just.
It's the
Like
it's
look
the
at Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo was nowhere on his comeback.
Yeah.
But he still had such, a great presence and personality that nobody cared that he kind of sucked.
Yeah. Exactly.
it's the Paris effect.
Yes. Yes. the Yuki effect is killing me right now, bro. How do you finish dead last?
Well, it's a
Yeah.
one-man team. You can't do
I
much,
I think
man.
it's
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's more Verstappen being so in tune with the team rather than Tsunoda being bad. Because even my dad, who like kind of follows F1 and has seen Gasly go through the car and then Albon go through the car and Perez go through the car and be actually pretty good, it's like, man, this Tsunoda guy sucks. He's gonna be out of the drive, right? I was like, no, it's just the car is terrible for anybody that's not Max Verstappen.
Exactly.
You also have to think realistically, they can only put 4 people in a car. They've already had 3 because they have Liam, Yuki, and Max. So if they
Mhm.
replace him and one of them crashes, they have to put Yuki or Liam back in the car after they've taken them out of the car.
Right.
So I think that's similar with Alpine. It's like you don't
Yeah.
really want to put a 4th driver in the car because then you have to go back to someone who's already been in the car.
Mhm.
The problem for Red Bull is that they don't have someone to put in the Red Bull. Because Yuki could very easily go back to the Racing Bulls. I think he'd actually be performing much better than Liam is.
Absolutely.
The right Racing Bulls team, in my opinion, is Isaac Hadjar and Yuki Tsunoda. I would hate to see Isaac go to Red Bull right now. I don't think he's ready. B, I just don't want to see his career ruined. And to your point, it is. I mean, it's like it's not the car.
Happened to Gasly.
It's not the driver, it's the car.
Albon, he had to did
Yeah.
Albon take a year
So
out.
Red Bull has a problem,
Yes.
and it's Alex Albon. No, it wasn't.
Red Bull is the problem.
I think we've now proven that it's just a very hard car to drive. Like that's factual. But
Since Danny Rick, the only
It's-
person close enough has been Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
which is
Did
really
he have
sad.
double letters in his name?
Not together, no.
No.
Okay, so then no. Because I remember at one point, Danny was like, he was talking to Max, and he was like, the only people that have won in Red Bull have double letters in their names.
Yes. Daniel Ricciardo,
Yeah, Checo
Max
does.
Verstappen, Vettel.
Checo.
Vettel.
Weber.
No, but not like doubled up together.
Like,
Oh,
consecutive
yeah,
double
yeah,
letters.
yeah.
Double S.
I was gonna
and
say.
Ricciardo has
Vettel had
double-
the T.
Vettel has double
Yeah,
T.
yeah, yeah.
Like everyone who's ever won, Mark Webber has double B. So it's like every time, every driver who's won for Red Bull has had double letters in their name.
Well,
Yeah.
welcome Paul Aaron, future Red Bull winner.
Man.
Would you take that? Christine?
I'm scared for that one.
I was scared for that.
Paul Aaron also doesn't have double letters, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh wait, he
No,
doesn't.
it's
They don't
one
spell
A.
it the American way.
No,
Oh,
he
then
spells
he's-
it the Estonian way, I guess. He spells it with
Wow.
one A.
Well, that's
He
actually
is not Aaron.
the logical
He is Paul
way
Aaron.
to spell it. All right, so he's safe from Red Bull. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
Anyways,
he's safe for now.
you mentioned Nico. Let's talk about Nico. Nico Hulkenberg.
Nico was a slay.
Finisher after
Hulkenberg.
239 races.
Barely
It was
as never.
38.
39. Well,
Huh.
he won on his 239.
Yeah, so 38.
right, but he
238
finished on the
without a podium.
at the end of this race. Therefore, it's
Yeah.
239.
So who has had the longest career with no podium now?
I thought it was him.
I thought it was Nico.
Tim.
Yeah, it was, but who is it now? Since he got
It's still Nico.
Second was Carlos.
Carlos who?
Carlos Sainz
Sainz.
was its
No,
second.
I meaning but people that had a full F1 career but never finished on the podium.
What definition of full? Because I think
Like-
Nico will hold it
Road
no
song?
matter what, just because.
No. He had a podium. Is what I'm saying. People that never even finished on the podium.
No, he's saying who's left that that has had a large number of races but
Yeah.
never had a podium. I don't know.
I don't know.
No idea.
I'm not that knowledgeable.
That's a ChatGPT question.
Somebody go to Charles's words of wisdom. See if it's in there.
Yeah,
There you go.
We need some words of wisdom.
but
What's
he
up?
started 19th and
Oh.
finished the podium.
This
Yeah.
guy
Goated race.
Martini,
hmm
Pierluigi Martini. Yuki Tsunoda's in 4th right now with 99 starts. Oh wait,
yeah.
no, I'm wrong. It's Adrian Silto.
Okay, and that is he raced for who?
128 races. He was last with Force India.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, so this
So-
is pretty recent.
I think I'm spelling his name wrong when I'm trying to Google this because I am not getting results about racing.
SUTIL.
S
UTIL.
T-I I found it. This
Oh,
is much better than the results
now
I was getting.
Now the name comes. Just like I think the way
Yeah.
you said it, I was like it didn't hit, but now I.
He was at Sauber for a bit too.
So he
Yeah.
was only in it
Yeah,
for
you're
7
right.
years though?
99
7
races.
years is
Oh,
still,
oh,
it's
no.
still a decent amount.
Yeah, 7 years.
2007,
A nice career.
2014?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's crazy. No, but like he'll still hold that record of like longest time waited for a podium, but he's that
Mhm.
wait is over. He's finally
Yeah.
had one.
My
Uh,
Google hates me.
That's unfortunate.
Oh, it was like it was talking about him and like his like things, and then I scrolled slightly, and it's like listing of people, and Jules was on there, and I went
No, that's sad. That's really
Google.
sad.
No,
Why is he on there?
because he ended his racing career in 2014.
Oh, okay.
Oh well, not by choice.
I was gonna
No,
say
the
he
dude we were
didn't end
talking
his
about who
career.
held his. The dude we were just talking about, Adrian.
Yeah, but we're also
His
talking
career
about,
ended in 2014. Yeah, so that's
Yep.
why
Yes.
he popped up. I'm assuming.
Glad we're on the same page there.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the current topic.
Please.
Nico.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I didn't see him coming, but then as soon as he was third and he passed Stroll, I was like, the race can end now. Stop. Everybody stop.
Yeah.
Even though Max was like,
Go,
eighth
Nico,
and ninth
go.
At this point, I was like, no, stop. I want Nico Hulkenberg podium. I think everyone in
flag.
F1 was rooting for him. In fact, I'm like 95% sure the vote for driver of the day wouldn't let you vote for Nico Hulkenberg anymore. I tried like 6
He already
times
won it.
on my computer.
Yeah, at one point when they first showed it, it was 43%, and then 10 and 10%.
Yeah.
And Nico had the 43. So they were probably just like, it was probably over 50%, and they were like, there's no point, guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Nico already
tried
won.
Here several times it didn't let me, so I had to stop watching
I've
Max's
been
rating.
having issues voting lately. I've had to like
Oh.
reload my screen like 3 times.
I wonder
So it
who's
could also
rigging the
just be-
votes. Who's stealing the driver of the day election?
Isn't it usually
Count the
Lando?
votes.
They literally stopped
No,
the count for Hulkenberg.
Everyone's been voting against McLaren lately.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because we've proven in F1 that when you hate, you always hate the winner. You always hate the
Mhm.
winner. You always hate the leader. I mean,
I will never hate
case in
Lando
point, Max
Norris.
Verstappen. You know how many people
Same.
like currently like Max Verstappen
A lot.
compared to
Yeah.
like last
It's
year?
crazy.
A lot of
Mhm.
people. It's
I'm
crazy.
warming up to him.
See? In fact, Max was the first one to congratulate Nico. He looked so happy. It was so cute.
Did you
Yeah.
see Gabby was running up like behind Lando's car to go congratulate Nico?
Gabby came on the radio
Yeah,
And-
I saw that too.
And I'm so sad they didn't play it on the broadcast. But
Oh.
he said, he goes, Nico, it's Gabby. Man, you don't know how happy I am for you. You're a fucking legend. Honestly, absolutely insane what you did today.
I
And
love
then he
their
said,
friendship.
I'll wait for you at the podium.
Their
Also,
friendship is great. I love it.
Goals.
I saw a video. I don't know if Nico Hulkenberg's wife called Gabby, like FaceTimed him to talk to Nico, or if he called Nico and Gabby was just the one to hand Nico the phone. But he's like literally holding the phone, talking to his daughter, and then passes the phone to Nico, like, "Oh my god, like, look, here's your daughter," which was also very cute.
Yeah.
So,
Good stuff.
however,
And now she's got Legos to play with.
I was gonna
Yes,
say,
I did see that. That was cool.
You see,
I
when
love it when
Oscar
drivers
says that,
ask questions in the press conferences.
he waits 15 years for a podium, and gets a trophy made of Legos. Seriously.
Yeah, but when Oscar asked the question, I love when drivers ask questions in the press conferences. It's so funny. Nico was like, "I love Legos, so I'm happy." And then my daughter also enjoys Legos, so I'm good with this. I'll
I
take
like how
it.
the braking boards are also Lego bricks. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't.
Oh.
I think it's funny that the first place winner though, like Lando, got both trophies. But
Yeah,
What
makes
do you
sense,
mean
though.
both trophies?
we
Lando
got the gold
trophy-
one and a Lego one.
He got a
Because
gold
like
one.
that's
and
like the
Lego.
trophy they get every
Oh.
year. They've never changed. They like don't change that trophy.
So they had to keep the. All right, well that's pretty cool. Nice.
Yeah, he gets 2 trophies and a medal, and Nico
Would
gets
it be?
a Lego trophy.
You know what would be really disrespectful but cool? Is if he like threw it off a balcony and watched it explode into a million pieces.
Yeah, he doesn't
No.
Like
like
who else
what-
gets to do that? It's literally the British Grand Prix Lego Special Edition trophy.
I think
Yeah.
he
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 just
should
checks
give
it
it
off a
to.
balcony.
Not.
he doesn't he doesn't what
I
he
think
does
he
with like
should
the
give it
champagne
to,
just goes "Ooh."
As I say it, so Marina can identify it. Lando's Max, and they should put it on the stream next stream he streams, so we can all see it.
Yes.
Up close, but that's just
Yes.
me.
Lando
Oh.
is there, not Nico. Nico should keep it.
I was talking about Lando. I was not talking about Nico.
Nico should keep his very, very high up, so his daughter doesn't touch it.
Oh,
Because
for sure.
even though she likes Legos, I would think that you would want to keep your first and likely only podium trophy very nicely tucked away.
You sound
Well, we can
like
maybe
you
get a
doubt
replica.
Mattia Bonato here.
I do.
I do. I do.
I hate that man.
I
Oh.
do not doubt Jonathan Wheatley. I think if
Okay.
anything's going to happen, it's going to be because Jonathan Wheatley is.
Is Hulkenberg signed for next year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's gonna have at least a run in the Audi. Okay, so who knows?
Hopefully.
Who knows?
Hopefully he gets at least one other podium.
Oh, one more thing about driver of the day. I think both you two know this. Christina, do you know who has the most driver of the day ones?
Max.
No, don't
It
make
is
me
Max.
guess.
It is Max.
Okay.
41,
It used to
and
be
they started
Lando.
it in 2016.
No, it
He's
used
had
to.
the most since
It's
2016.
always been Max because Max went up against the Mercedes and people actually found him hilarious until all of a sudden, oh my god, Max is winning. Max is going against this
Yeah.
great champ that is Lewis Hamilton. Now we hate him.
Hey, that's how it works.
That
That's how
always
winning
happens.
works, man. That's
No.
how winning works.
And that's a tragedy. I wish winning wasn't like that.
Okay.
Why do we have to hate
Yeah.
people who are winning? What'd they do to
I know,
us?
right?
Nothing.
Imagine them. Yeah, we're mad at them for doing their jobs.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
crazy. Leave them alone.
I think it's cute though because we, like I said, I think almost all F1 fans that we saw with the driver of the day vote, that almost all F1 fans are happy for Nico.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
paddock is also happy for Nico because Sauber didn't have champagne and Mercedes and Aston Martin gave them champagne.
I
Yeah.
did see that. That's pretty
Yes.
cool. Yeah.
And then didn't
Um,
was Max taking Nico home? Because I saw somewhere that Max delayed his flight so Nico could celebrate.
I saw that Nico said it on the radio. He's like, we're going to have to delay my flight so we can celebrate. And Max has his jet, so I wouldn't be surprised if Max decided to stay behind to celebrate
Wait,
Nico.
didn't Lewis offer somebody to be on his jet? Who was it?
Franco,
Oh my God,
he said, "Hey, is
Franco, it was so
anyone going to England after what? Spain
I think it was after
or
Spain.
was it Canada?"
Yeah.
And Franco, was it Franco? Right?
Yeah, it was Franco.
Yeah, it was
Franco-
Franco. He was like, "I'm going," and Lewis went, "Cancel your flight. Get on my private jet right now." And he went,
Wow.
"Okay."
That's
I love it when
Next.
Brazilians help each other.
Brazilians.
What is that for you?
Yeah,
Argentina.
Hamilton's Brazilian.
Oh,
And
yes,
Franco's
you're right.
Oh,
Franco
He's
is
Argentinian?
Argentinian.
Why did
Yeah, you're
Oh,
thinking
it's
of
Gabby.
man.
It's Gabby that's
You're thinking of
Brazilian.
Gabby.
Man, Jason,
All
you,
right,
you just
oops.
offended a whole country.
I thought I had that 40
do-
level knowledge, and I
offended.
just fumbled that so bad. That was
First of all,
horrible.
I'm Brazilian. I don't claim Lewis Hamilton. He can go be British. I do claim
Too late.
Gabby.
Your government said he is.
Moving on.
He
Oh,
wore
that
like a
terrible
yellow green
disappointment.
suit and everything. Like Lewis pulled up, and the president or minister of the country was like, "You are now Brazilian."
I think the British should accept Alex Albon. Because
I
he is
totally-
British.
Yeah,
Just
fair.
accept him.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean I think he has dual citizenship, right?
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just
You
chose
know-
to race under the Thai flag because
Yeah.
of representation.
You
Yeah,
know
But
how
the
his
British
his-
commentators and everyone, they just refuse to
you
accept
know
it.
how his parents made money? Real quick.
I
Maybe?
do. Mom went to jail, did she not?
Yeah.
Well,
Don't they
yeah.
call it her vacation?
Yeah,
Didn't Alex say they
vacation.
call it the mom went on vacation? Is what
That's
Alex said the
funny.
family calls it?
Well, apparently
milk and
they're
never came
the
back?
largest KFC franchisor in Southeast Asia.
That's crazy.
That's
That's
why
wild.
when Albon joined Toro Rosso first, they put KFC on the side of the car because obviously his parents are going to sponsor his race car. So
That's
where
funny.
KFC was on the car.
That's
Wow.
crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah.
That is
Interesting.
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Aren't they wanting to put a
this-
racetrack in Thailand?
Maybe.
Like, did they get approval
I
to build
heard,
one?
I heard.
I heard
Yeah.
it was a possibility, but I think we are a couple years out. Like maybe for 28, 29.
Yeah.
You know what else is crazy?
Mm.
Oscar Piastri
Many
coming on the
things.
radio and saying, if you agree with me that penalty was unfair, we should swap positions. What did Lando?
Mhm.
I'm not a
He's-
Lando.
He was literally
That's
like,
to
I don't
say-
think it'll happen, but I had to
That's
ask.
just a Hail Mary. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he literally
That's-
in the press conference was like, I knew it wasn't gonna happen, but I had to ask. Like,
Yeah.
that's me when I ask questions. I'm like, I know I'm not gonna get what I want, but I'm gonna ask anyways.
You miss 100%
Yeah.
of the shots you don't take, you know? You-
Exactly.
You just wanted to throw it out
you
there.
tell him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You tell him.
He was like, I just gotta try. You know,
Yeah.
what's the worst that
I
happens?
wasn't
They
even mad
say
at it.
no.
I'm just like, you know what? This is a guy who's just having a bad day. He just wants to test his luck.
I'm
Yeah.
not mad at him. I just thought it was funny. I thought it was
No,
crazy
yeah.
that he would ask because, like you said, he already knew the answer to the question. Because
Yeah.
I think it would have been different if he had, like, say the situation was he had braked, he had gotten the penalty, but the person behind him was Lando, not Max. Then maybe we could have, like,
That might have been
they
a different story.
done it, it would have been a whole different story. Because then you get, say, if the team agrees he got an unfair penalty, you're gonna swap positions back and then have them race fairly, potentially. But it wasn't. It was Max. And then on the other hand, too, if like that had happened and now Max was like winning the race, I think McLaren would have protested that penalty.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Maybe, I don't know if you'll agree, but like it kind of frustrates me a little bit that because Lando won, and again, props to Lando, he picked up the pieces, he was consistent, he was great, but I think Oscar was still the quicker driver. He picked up the penalty.
He was.
No, I
and
agree.
he didn't, and he came in second. And I think had Lando not been the winner, they would have protested it. And whether or
I
not
agree.
the stewards would have, looked at it again, reviewed it, whatever. Again, we agreed that we said that we agreed with the penalty, but it could have been reviewed, and Oscar could have talked about it, or Max could have said, "Well, it wasn't that bad," or whatever, because Max has been reasonable recently.
They still could. Let me make sure they haven't.
No, they haven't.
Well, I
It's
mean,
been
in the
2
press
hours.
conference, they asked Oscar, and he was like, "At the moment, I don't see a need to. I'll go back and rewatch it just to like figure out what happened, but I'm not gonna ask for clarification or anything." So, I don't think
Yeah.
they did.
I don't think they did, but I think that they would have at least considered filing an appeal with the FIA or like having it reviewed if it wasn't Lando winning, which is, I think, probably a little frustrating for me. It's probably frustrating for Oscar. Is like we're in this championship fight and I can't like defend myself. You know what I'm saying?
It's an unfortunate time for it to have happened.
I think the commentators said it too. They're like, they were really surprised that came through during the race because
Yeah.
usually
I was not
they would
expecting
wait
It was
till
pretty.
after.
It was pretty
either.
quick.
They would wait till after, and also, I think depending on the circumstances, I mean, Oscar could have pulled like a 5-second gap to Lando, for example. I think that was totally possible. Had he
Yeah.
been,
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, he did. He did at the end of the race because I think he was put 10 seconds behind, and then
Yeah.
he clawed that back, and by the end of the race it was like 5.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
theoretically, he should have finished 5 seconds ahead of Lando.
So,
Yeah.
but my point being, like, yeah, like say it was Lando who he finished 5 seconds behind Max, for example, and they appealed it, and they were like, okay, 10 seconds was harsh, we'll give you 5, right?
Yeah.
Then, then he's back winning the race. So, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I
Yeah.
think it's
I mean,
Yeah.
I think too, like if Oscar wouldn't have been, second place with the penalty, I think they would have done something about it too. Then,
yeah,
if he was like outside the podium or not, then
yeah. I agree.
Since he
I-
finished second anyway, it's just not that big of a deal.
I think it's funny because they're so far ahead in the constructors, but it's almost like they're still playing the constructors game.
Yeah.
Because they can't pick a
Yeah.
driver, so they're just like, we just got to maximize points for the team. We don't care who's first or second.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, haven't they started
like-
during races having 2 separate garages? Like the 2
Yeah.
sides don't communicate. They're like, no, we're now competitors and everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Before we end off, I want to quickly talk about news from this week. Speaking of Oscar Piastri, the Max Mercedes rumors continue. Sky Italy said they were in concrete talks, but then
I thought we
Eric-
don't listen to anything Sky Italy says because Sky
Yeah,
Media something
I mean,
like
Italian
Italian media likes to
in
lie.
general is kind of
Yeah,
wild.
I thought we don't listen to Italian media. That's what
Yeah.
I've learned from the internet. But that could be
Correct.
me.
but you didn't let me finish because I was going to
Okay.
say, the Dutch journalist Eric Van Haren, he came out and said, yes, they're very interested. Yes, they're having talks, but an official offer has not been made. To the same extent, though, George has not received a contract offer, so
Yeah.
it's still wide open. Kimi
Mhm.
has a contract past next year, and I remain in my thoughts that it will be George losing his seat, not Kimi. Apparently,
I agree with that one. I think it would be George that loses his seat, not Kimmy, because Toto's
Unfortunately,
gonna
I
try
think so. Yeah.
and like look towards the future. And sorry, George, but that would be Kimmy
Yeah.
if you're thinking about it.
But Jason doesn't agree. So why? Why would it be Kimi? Like, what did Kimi do to you?
Because the low risk move would be you keep George. You've known him for longer, and he still has 10 years of racing in him. So does Max. Will Max want to be here in 10 years is another story, but they both have at least 10 years in them. Kimi does too, but he's also
He's
a high
rookie.
risk because
So-
he's a rookie, and George has been beating him.
But Kimi could have 20 years, first of all. Second of all, what are you
Yeah.
going to do
Yeah.
with Kimi? Are you going to... He's not
Yeah,
going to
where's
take a
Kimmy
residual.
going?
Kimmy's going to another team, if you let him.
I mean, that's least
Because
of
I'm sure
Toto's
if
concerns.
you get rid of him, people would want to take Kimmy on.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think
Yeah,
the play,
so-
because none of these talks are happening for next year, right? The contract's going through 26. Everybody's going to go with their driver. Worst case scenario, Max is going to sit on the sidelines for 1 year. I doubt he'll do. And then have his pick of whatever team he wants. He won't do that, but that's a high.
No.
That's
but
not
he's-
happening.
He's going to Mercedes for 26.
No, it would be 27. I
No,
really
it's
think
26.
it will be for 27. Yeah.
Why would he sign a
he
contract
said
now for
himself.
27?
They're just putting out feelers and negotiatings now. Because
Oh, I don't think so.
look at this. His
I think he
Antonelli's rookie's contract up after 26, and so is Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari contract. Antonelli goes to Ferrari. Max goes.
I thought
to
Ollie was
Mercedes.
supposed to go to Ferrari after Lewis
No,
goes.
Antonelli's Italian, so they'll take him instead.
That would be
Um,
cool.
Literally.
But
Who? Which one?
Jason.
Okay, just checking.
I mean, that would be the easiest scenario: is Antonelli goes to Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton
betting
retires, Max
Fox
goes to
before 26.
Mercedes, and then who do we put in the Red Bull? Paul Aaron. Yes, he sounds like a
No.
great choice.
You are
Do not
forgetting
sacrifice my man.
these talks are very firmly for next year.
I don't think so. Max said he's racing for Red Bull next year. Things will change, but I don't know.
I've learned when Max it's either
we should bet
lying
on-
or telling the
Well,
truth.
what's
He gets
happening
really
with George?
philosophical.
I think we should bet on this.
Yeah, but what's happened with George? Like
George
he
is
still
going to be
he still doesn't
firmly
have a
unemployed.
contract.
He is going to be
George is-
No. What if
George
he's
is
going
kinda
to
there.
Red Bull?
I think that'd be
No.
funny if they switched George and Max. That'd be a funny switch.
That
That's
would
the
be
only way I
something.
see George leaving
a
Mercedes,
switch
as
I
if
would
it's
want.
a direct
Listen,
swap.
Just
This
for
is the
fun, I
best-
want to see that.
This is the best. I feel like the best interpretation of Max and George swapping, right? It's like have you guys seen All American? I know
Yeah.
Christina has it. She doesn't like football.
Nope. Nope.
Yep.
I refuse
It's
to learn.
like it's like if Spencer James he went to like the nice school over in Beverly Hills, right? That's what Max is doing. He's leaving the hood and he's going over to the nice school.
You call
Now,
Red Bull the hood? They've won
Yes.
how many championships in the
Listen to
past
me.
how many years?
listen to me. Red Bull has zero respect in the F1 world.
They
Max-
are not the hood. Get out of here with any of that.
Hey,
Come on.
the bigger they are, the bigger they
Yes.
fall, man.
Oh, the
If
bigger they
any-
are,
if-
the bigger they are.
If,
Let's
if
put that analogy. And then on the other hand, you have like Jordan Baker, and now he's going over to the hood.
Can we find
okay?
something common to like translate this to? I'm
I
sure this
see
thing we
this-
all know.
this
I
is
said
a terrible comparison.
Can you
I
finish?
actually kind of like it personally.
Can you let me
I don't
finish?
understand. Can someone compare it for Christina?
AlphaTauri is the hood. They have the minority factories in Italy.
Can somebody
you
translate?
Can you let me finish? I say this because
No.
George is like the preppy kid. He cannot go to Red Bull. It just doesn't fit. Like Red Bull is this like energetic, fun, controversial team on the grid, and Mercedes is this very nice, factory team.
What if George
whatever.
went to Cadillac? Cadillac.
So-
they have Tommy
Cadillac.
Hilfiger.
Sure, Cadillac. He can go to Cadillac. He's not going
Him
to
and,
Red Bull. There's
him and
no
Tommy
way.
Hilfiger work better than him and Adidas.
Imagine George on an Escalade. Man.
I could totally see
I
that.
can totally see it. He can go to Cadillac. I really hope
Let's
he's
send George to Cadillac.
Yeah,
But-
let's get George and
But Red
Valtteri in
Bull's out of
Cadillac.
question.
There we go.
Oh, that'd be a good
Nah.
combo, I think, actually. George-
Marina,
George
your
and
whole
Valtteri?
argument is George won't go to Red Bull because the vibes are off. That's all you're
Hey,
saying.
you know what? You know
That's
what?
not
Sometimes
gonna
you have to
happen.
base things off
I-
of
It
I-
doesn't
vibes.
work
I-
like that.
Carlos
He's
Sainz
gonna.
Williams instead of Red Bull because the vibes were off.
Yeah, you gotta follow the
No,
vibes.
Carlos Sainz was never had a Red Bull option
He
I-
tried, I,
What
think,
makes you
but
think
didn't
George
work.
would?
because he's late. Because the direct swap, it just
I
works.
think
No, no.
I think Red Bull would want Kimmy over George.
we all know secretly like Christian and Toto are like this, like they're buddy buddy. Even though
Yeah.
the media doesn't look like that. Yeah, they're
If-
buddy buddy. So they're gonna get the
each other-
thing done. They already
What
have
were you?
shared Google Drives, so they'll just swap the contracts through there, and that'll be it.
Nah, fam. Nah.
Hey,
It'll be easy.
No.
No, I
For the
saw.
record, I do agree with you, Marina. I think the vibes at Rebel are very off at the moment.
Oh yeah,
I
they
saw a
are,
meme.
but that doesn't mean they're not gonna take a good driver.
Guys, listen to my meme.
That's not what it's about,
It was-
though. It's about
It
George,
was George
not wanting
and
to go to
Charles
Red Bull.
at Red
That's the
Bull. I
problem.
was like, that's hilarious. That's not happening, but that's funny.
That'd be weird.
that'd
Yeah,
be weird.
that would be
That'd
weird.
really weird.
I think once Max leaves, Red Bull would be the most undesirable team for any driver.
I think we should make a podcast.
I think it already is.
I think we should
Yeah,
make a
but since
podcast. I'm
yeah.
saying Max is going to Red Bull for 26. You're saying he's not. So what's the bet?
Can I throw in Cadillac for? Wait, no, that's George. Never mind.
Cadillac for 500.
Max going to Cadillac now? You could say he's going to Aston if you want, but I highly doubt it.
No, I think George would. If Max goes there, George will go to Cadillac.
I will
Yuki's
say-
going to Aston.
The only way I see Max staying at Red Bull is if he goes to Aston for 27.
I
Is
could see
if
that because he's
Aston
gonna be
comes
like,
out
"Oh, hey,
really strong
Nui, what you
and
got doing?"
He's going to Mercedes in
That's the thing.
27.
Max, the only thing stopping Max from moving anywhere this year is that he takes all the risk this year for potentially a lot of reward. But if he doesn't leave this year, he's still just as wanted next year as he was this year.
Yeah,
because
he
new
might
regulations
as
next
well-
year. So
yeah, he might as well wait out
you're saying
26,
take the risk.
However,
see what team
I
is good
firmly
and what teams
agree.
are bad, and then
I-
move for 27.
Yeah, but if you
I
listen to the
personally
Mercedes rumors
think-
about 2026, he's gonna want 20. He's gonna want Mercedes
No,
then for
no,
2026.
he's gonna wait out 26 and see if they're true, because we heard rumors about the McHondas, and look how that turned out. That was horrible.
Yeah, but I do firmly disagree with your statement that these negotiations are for 27. There's no way. It's way
they're
too
for
early.
26.
Oh,
That's so.
These
don't think
ongoing
so.
negotiations are for 26. Whether or not Max takes a contract with Mercedes for 26 is a whole other question. But
Yeah,
these
because every time they ask George, they're like,
for
George, do you have a contract for next year? And he goes, no. And they go,
No.
George, are you looking at other teams? He goes, no, I'm going to stay at Mercedes.
George has so much faith.
He sure is.
He said, and I quote, Toto has never let me down. He's always kept his word. So
I think that was punching words. I think you're right
but
there.
then he said,
Because you wouldn't say
all
that
has to
if
do what's
you
best for the team.
didn't feel insecure.
Yeah.
But he also said he also has to do what's best for the team. So
Well, what's best for the team is that he stays in his seat. So
I disagree. But anyways, parting
knows?
thoughts from the British Grand Prix.
Ah, Lando
McLaren.
stand. Yay.
I will say that was very cute.
as a Ferrari fan, I really wanted Lewis to get a podium. I'll leave it at that.
I wanted
Lewis-
Charles to get a podium, not Lewis.
I think
but
it was
You can
ironic.
sue me. Actually,
I think
don't.
it's ironic that Lewis ended his podium streak in Silverstone
Thanks to
by
Nico Hulkenberg.
Nico Hulkenberg ending his non-podium streak.
Oh,
I think it was great.
An eye for an eye.
Embarrassing.
An eye for an eye.
I think this was one of the most entertaining races we've had all year.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
I firmly agree.
Last race like this had to be Germany 2019.
You wouldn't say Brazil?
No, Germany. Germany was more ridiculous.
I think we should go back in time. Somebody get me tickets to Lando Stan and get me to England.
Get you to Sochi. Was it Sochi 21 or whatever?
No,
Oh,
don't,
that's
we
trash.
don't talk about that. We don't talk about
Tina
that.
to Sochi 21 if she wants to feel pain.
Don't do that to me.
That's his
Send me to-
closest win.
Send me to England.
A Lewis Hamilton fan to Abu Dhabi 2021.
Yeah, don't do that to me.
Mm.
I'm just a girl.
Or maybe sending a Charles Leclerc fan to like the French GP to see him like crash out.
Oh yeah, 22.
Don't do that to me
Yeah,
either.
He was
Don't do
on
that to
track
me either.
win. He threw
Send
that
me to
away.
neither of those.
Anyways,
Send me to Miami 2014, Monaco 20. I mean, not 2014, 2020.
You'd be sitting outside of
Monaco.
Hard Rock Stadium like, where's the race?
Send me to Monaco
I was promised a
2024,
race. You're just in the
Anyway,
parking
Monaco
lot of Hard Rock.
2025, and Silverstone 2025. But don't send me anywhere else. I don't want to go.
Okay.
anyways, huge props to the British Grand Prix winner
Mm-hmm.
in the British Grand Prix winner. First driver in 2025 to win their home race. Which honestly, not that surprising. Championship is 8 points.
Indeed.
So that would be very interesting. A lot more interesting than the current state of our F1 fantasy, but we don't talk about that.
Hey, my other fantasy team is doing great. It's purely the one in your guys' fantasy league. My
Can
other
I
one,
ask?
great.
Wow.
Anyways, thank you guys
Yes.
so much for listening to us yap. If you want to keep listening to us yap, we'll be back next week. In the meantime, check out our socials at Lights Out Latest on Instagram and TikTok. Bye, guys.
Peace.
Best podcast ever.